Hello, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to take a very quick look at this JVC RC-525 radio cassette recorder. Hails from around 1978, so there's not many of them about. You certainly don't see them come up for sale very often. But as a bit of a collector, especially of JVC units, I've got a couple of these, but they're both, well, let's just say not without their faults. This one's probably the cleanest one. They're quite a decent size, to be honest. I mean, the camera perspective can be a bit tricky sometimes, so just putting a tape there, you can kind of see the size of this thing. It's pretty awesome, really. So obviously you've got your FM shortwave and medium wave tuner along there, cassette on this side. It's only mono, so you've got a woofer though there, and you've got a tweeter. Also got a VU meter and a peak level indicator by way of 5 LEDs just there. And one of the really cool things about this particular unit is the zoom mic on it. It's got a great big telescopic microphone that actually rotates through 360 degrees. Plus you've got what they call mic B, which is the built-in condenser there. And you can have either or both of the mics running along here if you like. And there's your mixing levels, and it also does type 1 and type 2 chrome tapes as well. There's quite a few little tricks of this, quite smart. Only thing is, this one's not without its faults, and in no particular order. There's a bit of a scuff to the tuner window, which I'd like to polish out. It's dirty, grimy. There's a break in the handle extrusion, so the plastic handle just there is a bit broken, but the chrome ends are pretty good, so I need to replace the plastic extrusion in the handle. It's actually missing its main microphone as well. As you can see, the swivel port is still there, and that's all pretty much intact, but unfortunately the aerial itself is not present. It's had a bit of a bang at some point, so there's some cracks in the casing. There's a break in the battery compartment, so the negative spring is floating loose, and there are sort of rattles, if you can hear them, on the inside. So it's had a bit of a bout at some point. That being said, the radio and the tape kind of still operate, albeit the switches and the dials are rather scratchy and noisy. So I do have a second one of these, and that in itself isn't too bad either, but the front casing isn't as clean and as pretty as this one. So my plan is to substitute the rear case, which will get rid of the crack and the brakes. I also have access therefore to the other microphone, which I'll be putting onto this one, and I think I'll strip out the center section of the the handle as well, so that we've got a intact chrome handle with the plastic extrusion in there. Otherwise as well, just a regular service really, deep clean and a polish. We shall clean all the controls, service the mech, replace the belts. There will be at least two, because there is a counter on this unit, so there'll be a counter belt plus a main drive belt, possibly other transfer belts as well. We'll find out when we get in there. So there it is, the JVC RC-525. Not a common beast, and quite quirky, quite interesting. So I thought it'd be worth just a general poke around now. So I'm going to crack this open anyway, start robbing some spare parts off it, and let's see what we got inside. Oh, did you hear that? That was me taking the screw tension out of that back case. And I was just thinking as well, there was a big crack along there, and yeah, oh, obviously that's had, as I say, one heck of a bang at some point. Okay, so I've just disconnected the aerial plus the negative contact to the board, and then the positive one goes to the battery terminal itself. That would normally be enough on something like a radio cassette recorder, especially a JVC one of this period, but we can see there's a bit more going on with regards to that zoom shooter microphone and its little circuit board just there. So the mic cable itself goes down in as well, and it's attached by all of this. So I'm going to figure this out. Oh, nice. Okay, so the mounting point is broken. That would need screwing back on that back case if we were to reuse it. But interestingly, the microphone then actually plugs in like a little jack socket. So there's the base of the Zoom shooter mic, and it's got the 3.5mm mono jack on the end. Yeah, so that literally kind of goes into the back case and plugs in to that port. That's easy. Nice. Speaking of broken plastic, I'll just move this back casing out of the way a minute. There is a lot of broken plastic in here. Piece just there. We've got another one of the posts broken off here. We've got another I shouldn't laugh, but it's like a jigsaw in here. Hang on, another piece. Hang on, let's get my tweezers. Oh, there's another piece there as well. And what else have we got? That piece and a large post just there. Still it comes, and that's a bit ominous looking. Oosh. Ah, now that looks like part of the handle mechanism. I'll just give it a quick tip out a minute. Oh my days, dear oh me. Oh, hang on, still it comes. Another post. Good lord above. I'll put a cheeky little bit of B-roll in here because you can't see much, and as I'm talking to you now I'll be panning across literally just to show you what I've tipped out. So that's all the broken plastic there. Yeah, somewhat of a mess, I've got to be honest. Right, let's see if we can get this handle off then. Yeah, see, I thought that bit of plastic is part of... It might actually be, yeah. It might actually be. Stay tuned, folks. But in any event, there's the handle. You can see the broken... You can see the handle extrusion now where that's broken. So, not ideal. But the ends are pretty good. The chrome ends are pretty nice. So my plan is to unscrew that broken piece there and refit one from the other unit. And I've just had another look at all the broken bits of plastic, and most of that looks like it came off the rear case. The only stud that's broken on the front casing is this one just here, which you may or may not just see just at the back. I should be able to glue that back on, put some resin around it, and that should sort that one. Apart from that, the others are okay. So what I am going to do is just quickly clean the pots while I'm here and give everything a bit of a tidy up inside, plug it back in again just to check as a sanity check that everything's okay and has got the potential so that we can take the rest out and service it properly. I thought I might just remove the radio board as well so we can give the casing a clean inside. I've just taken the knobs off of here, but I thought I'd just give you a quick whistle stop anyway while we're here. So we've got the ferrite rod antenna just in here, of course. Then we've got our tone and volume controls and the band selector switch through here. So obviously radio board is a fairly discreet unit, should be able to get that out okay. We've got the power transformer just here with the input fuses and various taps for the voltage selection, which runs down to the switch on the bottom just there. 8 ohm 16 centimeter speaker just here, and then we've got the block that carries the cassette amp or the main amp as well, and all the controls for that. Plus we've got another board on the bottom which is to do with all of your mixing mic and all that kind of stuff. So I think what I'm just going to do is get this radio board out, and then we can get the cassette and amp board out all in one go. And so with 1, 2, 3 screws removed, and the multi-plug of course, we may be in a position. Yep. Okay. There we go, another broken post. That's a bit annoying. Yes, the posts to the radio board have seen better days as well. This is looking a bit of a mess at the moment. Anyways, there's the radio board. Oh, might be losing now, more screws. Yeah, might be a bit of an epoxy job on this, I think. But anyway, there we go. We can get in there and give that a nice clean now. Lovely. Okay, so rather than fighting it, I've desoldered the condenser mic and taken some of the speaker connections off as well. So that should now leave us free. And what have we got? Yes, it does. Right, okay, so first things first then. There's the casing, surprisingly clean actually in various parts, but nonetheless the tweeter's just over there, and obviously you've got the woofer and the mains transformer left. That's pretty much it. So that case will need a bit of a clean, but I'm not convinced yet whether I'm even going to still use this one, because quite a few broken posts to repair. Just depends whether or not. Yeah, see, it's just a shame because this one is a much nicer front case generally. Something for me to ponder while I service the mech. Okay, so we're at the mech. We've got the switchboard down here with the VU meter, recording level, microphone selection switch, mixing levels, all that kind of stuff. Shouldn't need to mess with that too much. What else have we got? The heads look really clean, it's got to be said. Capstan doesn't look too bad, or indeed the pinch roller. Feels quite supple as well, so we're not going to have any trouble with that. The counterbelt feels okay actually. So we should, well, we might be alright with that. Might replace it anyway, give it a treat while we're here. And also my old nemesis, the motor mounts I see have returned on this one. Yep, very wobbly motor, so we're going to have to address that as well. Plus also, it's really filthy, it's dusty, grimy, needs a decent clean. Have a look inside of there, look, ugh, just gross. So yeah, we'll clean all that up. On the other side, we've just got looks like a single mount, I think. So I'm just going to dress this side, give it all a bit of a clean, sort out what I need to over here, and then we'll separate that from the board, get to the other side so we can get to the main drive belt. That side's a whole lot better, so let's turn over and remove this board. Okay, so we've got the play record bar switch just there, we can give that a clean. Everything else looks pretty nice, to be honest. You've got your function selector switch for your tape and radio just there. And then on this side, yep, just the one extra belt. And although it technically is just about working, it's not ideal. So we'll get that out now. That's a big old bruiser of a belt, probably what, 3.5 inch, something like that. Wow, doesn't look too bad to be honest, but obviously we'll sort it out while we're here. So the flywheel is out, I'll give that a proper decent clean. I'll measure up the main drive belt and indeed the counter belt, which we can just get off here now. And yeah, so I'll go and do that, finish having a bit of a clean up and see how we get on. There's loads and loads of parts here, tons of screws for the radio board. We've got the cassette board, of course, separated that out, and knobs and switches and stuff everywhere. What I'll probably do, just while I'm waiting for the belts to arrive, is do the same as this on the other unit and then probably build the nicest one of the two. So I think for day one, as it were, that's all. Bit of a fade. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, well it's a couple of days later now and I've got some new belts to fit, but I've not been stood idle during this time. I've disassembled the handles from both units. In fact, I've completely stripped down the second unit as well and taken the best plastic part from the handle, the best chrome ends, and indeed the best plastic washers and internal parts from the mechanism as well. Also cleaned and polished up the microphone. That looks pretty cool now. And I've cleaned the casing as well. Now I have elected to use the original front casing. It did have a little bit of damage, but most of the damage was to the rear case where all the posts had broken away. You saw those earlier. And I was going to use the spare one for the front panel, but it's got a few scruffy bits of metal and stuff on it, and I didn't want to risk damaging the good metal on the other casing, so I've elected to keep that. But it did require just a couple of post repairs, so I've glued and resined some of those back in. It's most important that it's structurally sound, and I believe it is now. So as I say, it's time to get on and fit these belts and we can start putting it all back together again. So first we'll try the counterbelt. Yep, happy with that. And now for the main drive belt. I've already cleaned up and oiled the capstan. Perfect. So that's both the belts on now, running beautifully. Backing plate is on. I've just tweaked the take up a tiny bit as well and locked that down with a little bit of lacquer, and cleaned up and re-lubricated the slider just on there as well. Next job, reassemble this back onto the main board, ready to fit back into the front case. We're on the home stretch now, and the beauty about stripping down both units entirely is we can cherry pick all the nicest parts. So for example, you've got this little shield plate on the back case in here, and I'm replacing it for the cleanest one. So when we reassemble it, we'll have the best part of all of them. You can see there's a fair old mess here to get through, so I'm going to crack on, start putting it all back together. I'll catch up with you in a minute. And it always pays to do a quick sanity check to make sure everything's working. So rewind, we can see the counter going just down there, and fast forward and play, and that's working nicely. The take up is good. I've also just set the speed on this as well. Now obviously the problem you get with a lot of the radio cassette units is the cassette has to be kind of bolted into the chassis, and that is required of course to be able to solder the speakers back up and all the rest of it and screw it all back together. But then you can't get to the screw to adjust the speed, so you do that kind of out of the frame as it were. So I've already adjusted the speed, so I'm happy with how it stops, plays, rewinds, and I'm happy with the speed and the wow and flutter. And I'm now just going to put it all back together. So yeah, just a jigsaw puzzle now. And before you drop the cassette mech and radio board into this or any other unit, just make sure that of course all your cables are out of the way so you don't trap anything, and be familiar with what they are so you can get them in more or less the right place ready for reassembly. In this case we've got the positive and negative for the condenser mic, we've got the positive DC supply, we've got the supply that goes to the battery compartment, we have got the negative DC supply, the speaker positive and speaker negative. So we'll get all these out of the way, and that will make us a much happier life. Actually, just before we do see the final result, it's worth taking a look at some of the mess we leave behind on these projects. Now, it's invaluable as best as you can to get spare units and donor units. A lot of these old radio cassette players are very rare, they're quite collectible and tend to be relatively expensive as well. However, it's worth, I think, now and again sacrificing one for the greater good, as it were. and we have the remnants here of these two units, and in no particular order I have a cassette mech that's completely grotty and in desperate need of a service and has a few little issues with it. Got a radio board that came with a broken ferrite rod for the antenna. I've already repaired that, by the way. We've got corrosion on the handle ends, broken plastic extrusions on the handle. We've got controls and knobs that have lost their print and are quite dirty and degraded. We've got broken, in fact shattered posts, broken battery trays, miscellaneous screws, cable ties, face plates, you name it. It's all here. And you know, this is literally the pile of bits, almost like dust, that we get left with after a project like this. So it's worth just seeing kind of what's involved quite often in the rebuilds. And anyway, I think at some point I may even go ahead and restore this pile of parts into a working unit. That would be quite a good fun thing to do. So do subscribe, check out my other videos, hit the notifications bell as well. It'd be great if we can grow the channel, that'd be fantastic. But anyway, now that we've got all the good parts and cherry picked everything that works and refreshed and restored it, let's finally take a proper look at the JVC RC-525. So here it is then, the RC-525 from JVC, all the way from 1978. Looks fantastic, I hope you agree. Now this particular one has been sat around the workshop for a couple of years, and I did have a spare one as well that I'd picked up because the original one arrived quite badly damaged. So today was really a case of making a good one out of the two and salvaging the best parts, making a decision as to which to keep, which to service or repair, and which to exchange from a different unit. So what did we do then? Well, in no particular order, stripped it down, cleaned the mech, replaced the belts, adjusted the thrust clearance, cleaned the tape path, oiled the flywheel, cleaned and lubricated the mech, checked over the radio board, cleaned all the switches and the pots and got those nice and clean. Just given everything a decent strip down, replaced the handle ends as well. But actually we had a broken extrusion on the handle, so we've replaced that part. Also replaced the internal washers and plastic retainers from the other unit. Given everything a bit of an overhaul, and I'm sure there's lots more that we've missed. The only real issue, I suppose, was replacing or repairing the broken posts for the screw mounts. Fortunately, most of the damage was on the back casing, so we replaced the back casing from the donor unit and switched a couple of pieces across from there and did some general sort of repairs to any broken posts that were on the front of the casing. So it's all structurally sound now, looks fantastic and totally works. First thing we'll do, we'll have a quick listen to the radio.
And that's not a, you know, I'm not blaming the actors here.
There's not a slight on there.
No, it's a slight on.
The radio sounds fantastic on this, as again we've got the great big woofer on there and the tweeter as well. You can see the peak level indicator lights working nicely, as indeed is the VU meter. So let's have a listen to the tape. And we'll just try the transport control, so rewind, lovely and smooth and quiet. Fast forward, again, beautiful, and play.
With ways I don't know, you got some place to be, but it ain't nowhere with me. Tell me, mommy, need my company.
So you can see that's working beautifully now. It's nice and smooth, the speed's been calibrated and it's fantastic. I'll go into the actual microphone side of things in a future video. Got a few videos coming up looking at recording and that kind of thing, so do stay tuned. Please do subscribe. It would be great to grow the channel if we can. YouTube doesn't push our small channels very much at all, so without your help we can't grow and reach a wider audience, which it'd be lovely to do, because quite frankly I've got so much stuff to share with you guys. These videos do take a lot of time, as you can appreciate. You know, I record them, do the work, repairs, do all the editing and everything else all on my own. So there's no sponsors, there's no money coming in from this. So it'd be great if you could help grow the channel with me. That'd be fantastic, because I've got so much stuff, as I say, to share with you guys. And I'm currently, I think, about 2,400 subscribers at the time of recording. So I think for a bit of fun, what I'll do is, if I can get to 5,000, I will actually repair the other RC-525 from all the broken parts that you saw in this video. So if I can get to 5,000 subscribers, that'd be fantastic, and in celebration I'll actually go ahead and repair that other one and get it working as best I can. We'll do the tape, get the radio board fixed, repair the antenna and all that kind of stuff, and do some chassis repairs and get the whole thing working again. So that'd be quite a good fun project. But anyway, guys, stay safe, you look after yourselves. I'll be back soon one way or the other, so all the best for now. Thanks again. Bye bye.